Trash talking. Well, my high school basketball coach taught us about trash talking. On December 1st, we had practice, and during that practice, there was a lot of trash talk, like even more than normal, right? It was pretty bad. So at the practice, my coach talked to us about trash talking. And one thing he said was, hey, if you can't back it up, don't trash talk, right? Like not being able to back up your trash talk is one of the surefire ways to get humbled. And this is what happened with Bradford Smith. He was playing Michael Jordan, and he was a rookie at the time, I believe, and he dropped 37 points on Michael Jordan in Chicago, right? He had like the game of his career. Then after the game, he went up to Michael Jordan and said, "Nice game, Mike." And Michael Jordan took that personally. He's like, man, I'm going to score as much points in one half as this guy did in the whole game, right? So they're playing on a back-to-back. Like they played the same team next game. And Michael Jordan dropped 36 points in the first half on Bradford Smith.
Bradford Smith. In Chicago, Bradford Smith scores 37 points against Michael Jordan. He said that Bradford Smith walking out of the gym had said, "Nice game, Mike." And you knew that this wasn't going to go down well. The next night, they play in Washington. We played them on a back-to-back. I never forget it. So we're flying to Washington. He said, tomorrow in the first half, I'm going to have what this kid had in the game. I never seen a man go after another player the way he did. Jordan scores 36 in the first half.
Now, Bradford Smith was obviously a great basketball player to play in the NBA and to drop 37 points. Like, no matter what level of basketball you're playing at, to drop 37 points is not an easy thing to do, right? So he's a great basketball player. But he wasn't good enough to trash talk Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest player ever. He's not good enough to trash talk him, right? Because he couldn't back that up. I love what it says in Matthew 23:12, and whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. Bradford Smith, by trash talking Michael Jordan, was trying to exalt himself. But my coach talking about after practice, he's like, yo, don't trash talk if you can't back it up, lest you be humbled, right? So don't try to exalt yourself in trash talking. Instead, humble yourself, and then you can be exalted. Which is why I personally don't trash talk, right? I like the Tim Duncan approach to trash talking, which is let my game do the talking for me.
I didn't have to trash talk. I didn't do trash talk. I wasn't good at it.
Nonetheless, my coach told us about how there's two purposes of trash talking. The first is to get in your opponent's head. And this is what happens in boxing, right? Muhammad Ali is a great example of this. He would trash talk his opponents so he could get in their heads, right? The Bible says how the tongue has the power of life and death. And he would use his tongue for death, in the sense that, hey, I'm gonna spread these words into you so that you can play worse. And his trash talking not only made his opponent play worse, but it also fired himself. It made himself play better. See, when you get to that level of masterpiece or mastery in your craft, like Muhammad Ali was at or Michael Jordan's at, you need something outside of yourself to fire you up, to motivate you, right? Because you already are the best at what you do, right? So at least for Michael Jordan, what he would do is he would take things personally, right? That would help motivate him and fire him up to play to the best of his ability. And this is what Michael Jordan did in 1996. He was playing the finals against the Seattle Supersonics, and the coach of that team is George Karl. Now, George Karl saw, during the finals, he saw Michael Jordan eating out, and he didn't talk to him, right? He just walked right past him. Now, I get George Karl's viewpoint on this, right? Because they're playing the finals. That's the best player on the other team. You don't want to talk to him. I understand that. But Michael Jordan, he did not. And he took that personally.
You think he's everything? Good, no problem. During the finals, we go out to dinner one night. George Karl's over on the other side, having dinner. Hey, George Karl over there. And George Karl does not come over and speak to him. He walks right past me. And I look at him, I said, really? Oh, so that's how you don't play. I said, it's crock of shit. And we went to Carolina. We know Dean Smith. We got seen in the summer. We play golf. You gonna do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
As we can see here, Michael Jordan used something as little as someone not talk to him, right? And he took that personally. See, like my coach said, one of the purposes of trash talk is to get in people's head, to make them play worse. And another purpose is really to fire yourself up. By trash talking, you're like motivated to back that up. By trash talking, you get motivated, you get fired up like Michael Jordan did by taking stuff personally, right? Because he's so good at basketball, he needed something outside of himself to motivate him to play at his best. Now, for me personally, I don't want to engage in trash talk most of the time, right? Because the Bible says in Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but only what is good for necessary edification, they may impart grace to the hearers. Only what is good for necessary edification, right? So trash talk, a lot of time isn't that, but it can be, right? Which I'll get onto that more later. But for me personally, I like to be kind to people, right? Which kind is different than nice. You know, I was listening to Myron Golden recently, and he talked about how, hey, nice is not even a word in the Bible. Like, nice is not a commandment. We're not commanded to be nice, but we are commanded to be kind. And the difference between being nice and kind is being nice to someone. A nice person would lie to you in order not to hurt your feelings. But a kind person would speak the truth in love, will not lie to you even though it may hurt your feelings, right? So I like to be kind to people, right? Not trash talk, but nonetheless, one of the purpose of trash talk is to get in other people's head, because the tongue has the power of death and life, or life and death, right? So you can use it for death to get in other people's head, but I don't recommend that, right? Now, the second purpose of trash talking that my coach talked about was how it's supposed to be for building people up. It's supposed to be constructive. Like I said, the tongue has the power of life, right? So use trash talking to use your tongue for life. And this is how I would use trash talk if I did trash talk, right? Because it says in Ephesians 4:29 how no corrupt word proceed out of my mouth, but only what is good for necessary edification. They may part grace to the hearers. So what is good for building people up? What is good for edifying them? And if trash talk does that, which it can at times, then I would trash talk, right? But for the most part, it doesn't, so I try not to. But nonetheless, this is what happened with Michael Jordan, right? Like I said, he's so good at basketball that he needed something outside of himself a lot of times to motivate him to play at his best. So like I said, he would take things personally. And this is what happened with O.J. Mayo. Now, O.J. Mayo was one of the best basketball players in high school at the time, if not the best, right? He was very good in high school. So he came to Michael Jordan's basketball camp in 2005, 2006, and he was trash talking Michael Jordan as a high schooler. Now, Michael Jordan at this time, he was about 42 years old. Like, he's already retired from the NBA, so he's not, in basketball shape probably at the time. So O.J. Mayo was trash talking Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan took that personally.
My camp against O.J. Mayo. He was a top high school kid coming up, and I never met him first time. In front of my camp, he starts this thing about, you can't guard me, you can't do this. I got my campus here, so obviously I can't really go where I want to go because of my camp. So I stop the camp, send the kids to bed. We go back to playing. And he starts this whole thing, that you can't guard me, you can't do this. So from this point on, it's a lesson. And from that point on, it was a lesson. He never won a game. I posted him up. I did everything. If I can ever show you that film, and you can ever ask him that, ask him about the thing that happened at my camp.
So we can see here how the trash talking that O.J. Mayo did, it was actually constructive because it got the best out of Michael Jordan. That's when it's good, the trash talk, is to get the best out of your teammates, out of who you're trash talking. And for us, it was our teammates because we were having practice at the time. So my coach was like, hey, trash talk to get the best out of your teammates. Don't just trash talk to bring them down, right? The tongue has the power of life and death. Use it for life if you're going to trash talk. But then he talked to us how, hey, there's a time to trash talk, but there's also a time to build up and encourage. And this is 100% the case, right? Because like I said, again, the tongue has the power of life and death, right? I was working at Quick Trip a few months ago, and I was working with one of my favorite coworkers at the time, but he was not the most positive person, right? So at that time, I don't know if he was in a bad mood, but every time I did something, he would say like, man, you suck, or you're doing that wrong, or man, you stink. It was just negative 100% of the time. It was completely negative. So I got sick and tired of it, right? I'm usually a strong person, right? Someone's gonna trash talk me. It does affect me. But at a certain point, it's just so much that I just break down because we are emotional creatures, right? And all that words, it was feeding death into me. It's feeding death. And then I eventually just wanted to stop. He, like, literally everything I did, he said, man, you're trash, right? And I know he wasn't being serious. He said, hey, yo, I wasn't being serious. I was just saying that, which I know he wasn't being serious, but the words still have the power of death. So it was affecting me badly. And I had to go to the bathroom, and I was just sitting in the stall, and I was like, man, because it was just affecting me so badly. I just had to take a chill pill, whatever it was, and just have some time off because it was affecting me in such a bad way. So there's a time to trash talk, right? Trash talking at times can encourage people. It can be edifying, it can build up for people, but there's also a time to encourage. And my coworker didn't see that I was getting very affected by that, and that I needed some encouragement. I needed some positivity, right? Because trash talk truly can get in the other person's head. Even though I knew he wasn't being serious, I still felt it. Because the words had the power, the tongue has the power of death as well. So my coach was like, hey, use it for encouragement. Use it. You got to know, hey, when to trash talk in order to get the best out of your teammates and when to encourage them to get the best out of your teammates. But the purpose is really to get the best out of your teammates, right? So that's one of the purposes of the two purposes of trash talk is to, hey, get in the other person's head like my coworker did with me, or it's to build your teammate up like what would happen with Michael Jordan, right? He takes stuff personally, and it'll motivate him, it'll fire him up. So those are the two purposes of trash talk. Now, one more thing my coach told us about communication. It wasn't after the same practice on December 1st that I was talking about where there was a lot of trash talk, but nonetheless, he said this about communication. The three biggest reasons for communicating on the basketball court, should fall under one of these three categories: to build up / encourage, to inform / instruct, or to challenge. Now, when we trash talk, that falls under the category of challenging, right? To challenge your teammates in order to get the best out of them. But like I said, it says in Ephesians 4 how we should only speak what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers, right? So communicating is also to build people up, and it's also to inform them, right? So if you're playing basketball and you're at the midline, the middle of the court, you're supposed to inform other people saying, hey, there's a screen coming up, there's a screen. That's good for necessary education. You're also supposed to build people up. Like I said, you're supposed to encourage people. There's a time for trash talking and there's a time for encouraging. Those are other two ways you're supposed to use communication, right? So as I made this video about trash talk, make sure you're using your communication, not just the trash talk, right? There's a time to challenge. There's a time to challenge people. There's a time for trash talk, but there's also a time to build up. There's also a time to inform people. There's also a time to encourage people. If you like this video, make sure to like this video. This is the 6 out of 10 videos I want to make about what my coach taught me, my basketball coach taught me in my junior year of high school. And I wrote down most of the things he told us. So I'll put that in the description as I always do. And like I said, if you like this video, make sure to like this video, man. Thank you for watching, man. Leave any comments in the description. Make sure to subscribe as well. Thanks for watching, man.